You guys, of course, remember I replaced the suede or Alcantara shift knob with a carbon fiber one because, again, I didn't like Alcantara on the surfaces I touch. So the shift boot is next because it doesn't really match it now. And, of course, the steering wheel, which we had cleaned, turned out really well, but I'm still just not a giant fan of Alcantara on surfaces you touch. On the A-pillars and even the roof in here, it's absolutely fine. I just don't want it on the areas I touch. So we're going to replace the steering wheel and the shift boot. And while we're at it, we're also going to replace the ProClip because this one is a MagSafe holder ProClip, and not too long ago they came out with a better version of it that is actually made by Scosche, but it's a darker option, and of course will look a lot better on the otherwise all black interior. So this is a MagSafe charging puck, just like what we have here now, but it's not made by Apple. Charges just as fast, holds the phone the same way, it just is black. That's pretty much it. So we're going to run the wire. I'm going to show you exactly how to run the wire to hide it, because as you can see, the wire is not visible on this particular setup either. So where we're going to get started here is we got to remove the top center console lid here. I got to get to the bottom of this to get to the shift boot. So the console lid has to come off. You can kind of see here now how the cord is run. It runs underneath here, swoops in, and plugs into the cigarette lighter right here. So we're going to be doing the same exact thing with the new one as well, but ultimately it runs underneath the console lid like I told you, and then right up in between the leather and the aluminum right here, which you can then push this clip down onto so it hides that slight separation right there. Really a clean install so you don't have to see it. So first step, we're going to go ahead and just remove the ProClip, which is really easily done. You can just kind of do it just like that, and that's pretty much it. That's removed and out of the way now. From here, we're going to go ahead and twist the collar here on the shift boot. Counterclock, there it is. Pull it down, and then we'll go ahead and take that little screw out so we can then pop the shift knob off. That way everything just comes up and off a lot easier. And that screw holding the shift knob on is a T25. With the screw out, we can just go ahead and pop that off. Get a closer look at that beautiful carbon fiber. But now we are ready to start popping off some panels. So the first one is this panel here, just to make sure nothing gets messed up. This doesn't actually have to come off, but I'm going to take it off just to clean in here and also to make sure nothing gets scratched or anything. One thing to be aware of is there is a hook in the front here that's kind of like angled in, so you're going to want to make sure you pop starting back here, and then be careful up here. It's going to have to be pulled out in order to get that angled part out without breaking it. So that actually popped off really easily, almost easier than I would have even guessed. I've had this off only once before, and yeah, that just popped right out. As usual, guys, if you are interested in a ProClip, you can always check out the link down below, save a couple bucks on one with my discount code, and your car will have a really awesome phone holding solution, but also in this case, charging. So yeah, check it out down in the description. All right, so with this side piece off, we can go ahead and lift under here and start just prying upwards, and you'll see the clips come out pretty easily. Just get your finger underneath there, separate these, and then we're ultimately going to be able to pull this center console top right off. Before we start taking the console top off, we are actually going to go ahead and remove the console lid as well. There's 3 T15 screws right here you got to pop out, and then that lid will come right off. With the center console lid off, just kind of pull up on it, you'll feel the clips come undone, and then there's ultimately 2 clips that run forward into the dashboard, so you'll want to grab and pull towards you to remove those. Now, with everything uninstalled, you can kind of see where this MagSafe wire ran. We're going to run that same path with the new one. It's going to run underneath the center console and then dip right into the center console lid area where I'll be able to plug it in and conceal all of it. Now, there's not a lot of room here because there are power plugs underneath here, so that should be more than enough to get what we need as far as access to the clips for the shifter boot here. And with the center console panel kind of tilted up, you can see where the clips are at, as well as some of the electrical connectors. That is the drive mode, that's the e-brake. Then down here you'll see the power outlet or cigarette lighter. This is the shift boot. Really, you probably don't have to take the center console off to swap this out, but like I said, I wanted to come in here and clean a little bit anyway, because as you can see where it sits up against the rest of the dash. Some crud falls in there and ultimately takes up residence. So yeah, I was okay taking this apart, even though you don't necessarily have to, just to get that shift boot out. But either way, if you ever were wanting to do this, that's how you do it. So I have the entire console top out, and I want to show you. All you have to do is take a little screwdriver, flathead screwdriver like this, push it in between the two pieces of plastic and kind of pry down, and that will pop this shift boot out. I got it out already, so we are good to go. And here are the two different shift boots. We've got leather, and then of course the Alcantara. I don't know, this just looks cleaner to me. Plus, like I said, I don't like touching Alcantara. It just gets messy way too quick. So that's what we got. So relatively easy to install and remove. Now this is literally just as easy as snapping it back in. So the tabs, these tabs right here on the shift boot, will only go one way. And when you put it down in there the way that it's supposed to go, those tabs will fit right into the slots on the bottom. You can see right there, that tab's going to go right into that slot, and the other tab will go into that one there. So from here, we can literally just start to push it down until you hear it snap in. Just like that. We are now fully installed, and you can see the tabs on the bottom here are fully seated. So after we clean it up, we're ready to put it back in. With the console top off, we can go ahead and basically just pull this wire back and out. So as you can see, I kind of just pushed it in between the leather and the aluminum there. What I'm going to do is go ahead and get the mag puck off of here and start putting on the new Scotch puck from ProClip. So here's the ProClip out of the car. Currently it is set up for the MagSafe puck. We need to get that entire thing off to put the new one on. So first we'll come in here with a screwdriver, Phillips head, loosen it up enough that we can actually separate the two pieces. Now we can have access to the 4 screws here. We'll have to take out all 4 of those to put on the new plate. And once we get those off, we'll get the new one on with the same 4 little screws. So here it is installed. That's the new one. This is the old one. Very similar, 4 little Phillips head screws that hold it on. No big deal. Now there's a couple benefits outside of just the fact that this is black and it will match the interior a little bit better. The entire unit is actually split down the middle if you look at it here. And this will allow you to wrap the cord inside if it's too long. So there's a lot of cord management built into this puck as well, which is cool. In our situation, I don't think we'll have to wrap much in there, if any, because the travel from where it's mounted in the C7 to the center console is roughly 2 feet. And I believe this cord for this is 3 feet at most. So we'll have to wrap maybe a foot up. But anyway, after it's to this point, we'll just take the new puck, push it in to the ball and socket setup. And then we can tighten it down once we're in the car, but that's ultimately what it's going to look like. The ProClip installs really easily, so you can just slide it in and then clip it on. There's no permanent modifications for this. What I am going to show you though is as far as the power cord's concerned, if you see the split here between the aluminum and the leather, you can actually take the tool that they include called a gap opener. It's basically a piece of plastic that won't mar the surface. You can stick it in there, and if you see, it's literally creating a gap. So I'll do that, tuck the wire down all the way to here, and then we'll run it along the center console and into the center console area where we can plug it in. Just like that, it's installed, and that is all the cord you're going to see. Coming down here, once we install the center console top, that will all be hidden, and it will match the interior a lot nicer. And here it is with the center console top back in place. Now again, the power wire runs down here, and all the way underneath the center top here, comes out right here, and we'll run it behind this bracket. I'll show you the placement once it's all done. All right, everything is back together. Everything is hidden, and if we open up the center console here, you can see the wire runs behind that hinge around there, plugs in. So that is a fully hidden ProClip install. Of course, this is well enough out of the way that if you do open up the cup holder, it doesn't hit or anything. Even with the phone on it, it doesn't. So that's that. The next step, we're going to get into the actual steering wheel here, because like I said, it's the same stock steering wheel, only instead of Alcantara right here is leather. I bought it from GM, so it's an OEM part. But first thing we got to do is disconnect the battery and wait for 20-30 minutes or so for all the power to escape the system, so there's no risk of this airbag going off when we disconnect it. Don't forget, on the C7, the battery is in the back passenger side, so we'll pull up the carpet here and get it disconnected, let it sit. I'll see you in about 20 minutes. All right, so it's been actually about an hour since we disconnected the battery. So to get the stock steering wheel off, the first we gotta do is pop the airbag out. To get the airbag out, there's 2 holes on each side right around this location here. You can actually take, I have a T15 Torx screwdriver that should fit in there pretty nicely. I've done this a couple times to replace these paddle shifters, or in this case the rev match paddles here. I've done this a couple times, so typically this T15 will fit pretty nicely in there. And once you get it in there, you can push and you'll feel a little bit of a springing action. So push in and then you should be able to grab the airbag here and work it out. You can see I've created some separation here, so this side of the airbag is now unclipped. So what we need to do is the same thing on the other side. A lot of times when you go to do the other side, you'll actually slide this side back in. That's okay, just keep doing it until you get both sides out. Not really any magic to this. What you're doing when you're inserting the T15 in the side here, you're actually pushing the clips in on the behind the airbag here so it releases it. But they're pretty tight. So I would start more so at the top here. That way you can prevent the other side that you just did from sliding in. But we're gonna push on that spring, work it around a little bit, and that should be it. We got it free. So now the airbag is free. Now from here, there's 3 electrical connections in the back. 2 for the airbag, 1 for the horn. The horn is actually connected to the steering wheel right around in this area. The 2 airbag ones are connected obviously right back on the back side of the airbag. The connections back there are the same as you've seen on pretty much any other car. There's 2 little levers per connection that you have to pull up and then pop off. This is why we disconnected the battery. So I'm going to go ahead and disconnect the horn first so I can get a little bit better visibility in here. Just a little connection on the top. That's the horn wire. Now we have a pretty good look at the airbag connections, which are right here. You can see them, they're purple and pink. Like I said, 2 little orange tabs on each one that need to be lifted up as the connections remove. We'll do it with 2 little screwdrivers. 1, there's 2, so there's the connection off. There's 1, and there's the other one. There's the airbag completely removed. Again, these are the connections we just removed. So now from here, pretty smooth sailing. I'm going to go ahead and remove the T50 bolt in here that is holding the steering wheel in place, and 1 last electrical connector in here, and then we can remove the steering wheel. There's the electrical connector right there we need to remove, and then of course the T50 bolt right there. The horn plugged in right over here, right there. So again, electrical connector, we'll unplug that, work those airbag wires through as we remove the steering wheel, but first we got to crack that T50 bolt loose. And for that, you can use an impact, but I'm going to actually use just a wrench because it's only on there with 22 foot-pounds. Sometimes wrenches won't cut it. You got to bring out the big boys. With the nut out, we should be able to just kind of work the wheel off. And again, make sure the airbag lines pass through, because we will obviously be reusing those. There is a little bit of an indicator in the inside the wheel here where you can see there's a little arrow down there at the bottom to let you know where the spot on the actual spline of the steering shaft should be, so there's no way to put this on crooked or anything. And both wheels side by side, just because this is the Alcantara wheel, leather wheel, white stitching, which if I hadn't mentioned yet, this wheel with white stitching is one of the hardest ones to find. This wheel in leather with red stitching, all over the place. But with the white stitching, very difficult to find. I already swapped the red rev match paddles over, so the rev match paddles here are the stock ones for my particular car on the stock wheel. I swapped the red ones over to the new leather wrap wheel, but that's the difference right there. Just a little bit of leather. Now reassembly, obviously the opposite of disassembly. I'm going to put that back on, reconnect the airbag and everything, put some more blue Loctite on that bolt before torquing it down to 22 foot-pounds, and then that's it. We'll just push everything back together, connect the battery back up, and we're good to go. All right, here it is, guys. New OEM leather steering wheel, OEM leather shift boot, ProClip, wire all hidden. We're ready to go. Make sure you're subscribed if you like the C7 Corvette content, C7 Corvette in general. I'm going to still be doing stuff with C8s as well, so stay tuned for that, even if you are a C8 guy. Either way, lots of cool stuff coming, guys. And here we are, guys, in the sunlight, showing off the leather steering wheel a little bit better than we could in the garage. The shift knob in carbon fiber, which was done in a previous video, but the shift boot in leather, and of course we got the save the manuals on there. So all of the leather matches now, no suede anywhere where we touch, and yeah, she's looking good. What do you guys think? And of course also the ProClip in the much more fitting fashion of the black interior here with a black magnetic charging puck from the Scosche, which is also offered directly from the ProClip website, so make sure you check it out. Use the discount code down below to save yourself some money on a ProClip. But that's it, guys. Check that out. And there it is. She's charging. And you can see it's charging on the CarPlay right there. So really, really awesome stuff. I think the next step for me with the ZR1 is going to be the seats. Yeah, I want competition seats. And whether or not I convert them or find a set to buy, I'll probably get rid of the suede in the middle. I haven't 100% determined that yet, because I do actually kind of like the suede on the seating surfaces because it makes you slide around less during the turns. So I might keep it, I might not sure yet. But I do know on the steering wheel, this is 1,000,000% better. I love leather on these surfaces. Much better than the Alcantara on the surfaces you touch, in my opinion, of course. That's all for the video. Smash the thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe if you haven't yet, guys. And as always, stay obsessed.